Hello and welcome everyone to another lovely day here live at the Waterhole. It is so wonderful to be back with you all for the first half of the show today. My name is Amy and I will be with you until about 1:15 or so Central African time. And I'm looking forward to the next few hours where we get to spend some time together here at the Waterhole. And so far, once again, things are looking very warm here at Madikwe Game Reserve. There have been quite a few animals that have come down already for a drink in the first half of the day, and slowly but surely more and more will arrive. There have been some elephants here, and here we have a beautiful Ellie bull that's slowly making his way down towards the water. There's also some wildebeest impala coming down for a drink as well. And I'm excited. We always start off the day not knowing exactly what it's going to hold. And I would love to hear from all of you watching at home. Please do say hello. Tell me who you are, where you're watching from, what you're hoping to see today, and any questions that you may have along the way. I would love to hear them. Harriet, hello, good morning to you. You say, morning, Amy. Looking forward to a happy Ellie pool party. Me too. I can't wait for the little ones to arrive, hopefully soon, and we get them all splashing and playing about. It's always so much fun here at Live at the Waterhole. All right, well, the skies are clear here at Jamala and the sun is beating down. So let's have a look at what the weather is doing across all our locations. Well, the heat is on, everyone, and it's only going to get warmer. I know that here in the Lowveld, I'm sure the guys at Juma as well were saying how hot it is. And I think tomorrow is also going to be another warm day, and here at Jamala as well, which is good news for us here at the show. We love to see the animals come down in the heat of the day. Batiste, you would like to see anything unusual, something that we don't see often. Well, that would be very cool, Batiste, and I agree with you. It always is a treat when we spot something new or something unusual, even if it's behavioral wise of an animal that we see very often, whether it's elephants doing something interesting or zebras or maybe an interspecies interaction could be very cool. I mean, we can always keep our fingers crossed for a little bit of cat action. That would be really, really cool, of course. But we know that that is only when we are very, very lucky. But who knows, today may be that very day.
We all know the struggle of finding the perfect gift. But what if you could give them an unforgettable experience? Something truly extraordinary. Introducing Nature Eye. Fly a real drone remotely at iconic locations, witnessing the beauty of nature like never before. Sign up to be an explorer and you could win one of these experiences yourself. Visit natureye.com today.
Fish and chips. It's so good to hear from you again. And you ask, hello, Amy, are you cooking? I am cooking in the heat. Absolutely. It is, I mean, it's 11 o'clock, but I think at 7 a.m. it was like already 28 degrees. That's what it felt like this morning. Elena, you are saying hello as well as Frank. You say greetings from Jersey. You are a Wild Earth follower and it's 4 a.m. where you are. Not sure how long you'll be up, but you are just checking in. Well, Frank, I'm so glad that you are and welcome. Thanks for making us part of your day. And we have some zebra and giraffe arriving. This is exciting. We don't always get to see giraffe here every day. So, Patisse, maybe this sort of borders on something a little bit unusual. So, let's just watch this beautiful giraffe coming down for a drink. He went through all the effort to get all the way down and then decided to not take the sip of water. There is another giraffe approaching. I think it is a female. There, oh, a few of them actually. Oh, this is so beautiful, everyone. I often wonder what these animals are thinking. That giraffe had a perfectly good spot there where it really got all the way within inches of sipping on the water, but decided that wasn't the right spot. Maybe just feeling like, I'm not sure, it wasn't quite secure there, but now moved off more to the right, and the other two much lighter giraffes look as though they may join him. Stephen, hello. Good to hear from you. You say, good morning, Amy. Happy Friday. Oh, Batiste, I'm so glad that you're happy with the giraffes. Tick off the list for today, absolutely. But what a beautiful scene this is here with the big Ellie bulls drinking. We've got some zebras chasing each other's tails around, and three giraffe. Oh, a fourth giraffe. I wonder how many are going to end up arriving here. Oh, there's a fifth one just there off to the left hand side. Apologies there, everyone. We just have a frozen frame at Jamala, but I'm sure we'll get it fixed up very, very soon and we'll be able to head back over there. But for now, we have hopped over to Juma and we've got our little goose family that are out for a midday stroll, it looks like. Dawny, hello. You asked, do the water holes get topped up in the dry season? There's some that do and there's some that don't, Dawny. So Jamala, where we just were, that does have a running water feed into it throughout the year, I believe. Whereas this particular water hole we're looking at Juma, if I understand correctly, it is not pumped. Um, but usually there's enough water in it to last throughout the dry season, even though it does shrink significantly in size. And we'll actually be able to watch that over the next few months as it dries out with the heat of summer into winter, and then all the way until about October when the first rains come. And we'll see how much smaller the water gets. But depending on the reserve and the area, there are some pans and water holes that are fed with water to help during the dry season, and there's some that aren't. And that just depends on the policies and procedures of the conservation management team of that particular reserve. Do also apologize for any picture breakup that you may be seeing at home. We are working on it. And it's still lovely, though, to see these geese and the little goslings pecking around. For the most part, these Egyptian geese will eat a lot of grass, but they also can eat a few invertebrates and aquatic insects and things like that in between.
Good afternoon and welcome to WildEarth's Bush Hub here in the Western Kruger. My name is James Henry, Gerrit is on camera, and over the next 30 minutes we're going to look at the highlights that took place in the field over the last 24 hours. We'll have a look at yesterday afternoon's sunset safari, this morning's sunrise safari, with an eye to planning this afternoon's activities in the field. This is On Safari.
Stephen, you want to know if I'm aware of any law about Egyptian geese? About that, Stephen. Let me finish answering your question about the Egyptian geese law. So I do know that the Egyptian geese were considered sacred by the Egyptians, hence that sort of name given to them. And they believed that the geese were messengers between earth and heaven. And the Greeks and Romans then raised them actually for food. And apparently, it is a cross between a goose and a duck that is cherished as an ornamental bird, and it's something to do with good luck as well. So that's all I really know about the Egyptian geese as such. I'll have to check if there's any sort of African, although Egypt, of course, is part of Africa, but any other more local beliefs about the Egyptian goose. All right, well, it has been wonderful to check in with the goose family, but let's head over and say hello at Okukuyo. Well, the skies are clear, beautiful blue. And we can see the color of the water is a bit different today, a bit darker. There seems to be a bit of a breeze as well. I can see a few springbuck there on the far side of the water and a few other sort of outlines of animals in the distance. I wonder if we'll get any zebra, maybe some gemsbok. I actually haven't seen gemsbok here in a while, to be honest. Hopefully the heat will draw some of the animals out to come and have a drink before they go and settle into some deep shade where they can just wait for the heat of the day to pass. Oh, Jive Bunny, me as well. You say this is one of your favorites and on your bucket list to visit. Well, me as well. Wow, I would love to be able to be here one day and look at this exact view in 3D, not in 2D, it would be very, very cool. And I think that's what I personally just absolutely love about the bush, is that it it's so different in different parts of Africa, but it is still all the same, if that makes sense to anyone. But it gives you that same feeling of relaxation, of awe of nature's beauty, seeing the animals and the interactions between them and the environment. Ah, it's just wonderful. Matthew, you're asking what plants in this area take the first hit with lack of water. Um, Matthew, within these sort of desert like environments, I would say that the plants which are affected first when there is no water around, and we've actually seen this a little bit at Madikwe, where immediately once those sort of surface level water, the groundwater levels drops and it starts to dry out again with lack of rain, it's the grass. I would say of just an educated sort of estimation based on what I can see and what I've observed, is that grass often is the first thing that starts to sort of away, and the ground becomes very dry and bare again. And so that is why we often don't see grass very much here, and only after significant, when it really, really is a lot of rain, then we'll see that grass come up. The bigger trees and things, they've been here for a long time. They've adjusted. They have mechanisms of being able to adapt to these environments with very little water, whether it's a very deep penetrating root system that can tap into underground water canals that maybe we aren't aware of. Otherwise, it's more succulent type plants that have thicker leaves and are able to hold on to the water for a longer time. I did actually see a hemspook walking there from left to right just now while I was chatting about the grasses. And subconsciously, I was like, oh, that was what I was just saying. I hadn't seen very many of them around. Unfortunately, it didn't come to the water, but there are some other animals in the background. Hopefully, they'll soon enough make their way towards the water for us. love when these antelopes come to the water and they sort of walk in a little bit. I'm hoping that this springbuck does it. And some of them actually enjoy the feeling so much that they walk through and get their bellies wet. Ooh, Sandra, interesting question about predators and their scat. You want to know if that is enough to alert prey animals, or do they need to physically see or smell the animal? I suppose in a way, just the presence of a predator's scat. For those of you who may not know, scat is basically the term that we use for predator droppings. So for herbivores, we use the word dung, whereas with predators, we use the word scat. And I think that a prey species would definitely be able to know that those droppings are from a predator and not a herbivore. You can smell it from a mile away. If you've ever been around a lion kill and those lions go and make a poo, oh my word, and then you get that on your tire of your vehicle, and that smell just follows you around the whole drive. It's absolutely terrible, speaking from experience. But I think, Sandra, just because the scat is there, depending, of course, how fresh it is, the animal would be able to, recognize, whoa, that's a very strong scent. The predator must be close. Whereas if it's sort of dried up and not really smelling anymore, that's not really anything they're going to worry about. But the best bet for an animal is definitely, of course, sight, but also hearing or scent is a big one, and then they'll alarm call if they picked up a leopard or a lion, for example. So 50, good to hear from you. You are asking, is this sort of rock configuration common in Namibia? It's common in this area. So 50, Namibia is a very large country, and you have quite a variety of landscape throughout that. So it definitely doesn't look like this everywhere. And this particular rock formation is to do with the fact that we are around the Etosha Pan. It's a very large dry basin, and these rocks are the broken up calcrete that's formed from a very long time ago, when the whole area was sort of some sort of inland lake, and so the salt and that sort of water nutrients were deposited here, and they formed this white sort of layer. And in this particular area of Okukuyo, those rocks have broken up, and so we get this very white calcrete layer of rock that you can see like we do in this area. But I wouldn't say that it's common throughout Namibia. It's common in this sort of northern central area.
This is On Safari. Now remember, this is live and interactive, so we'd love to hear from you.
To be having these incredible experiences in this wild underwater forest.
It was just one of those things which I don't think I'll ever see again in my life.
Thanks for joining us on our Sunrise Safari.
Well, we are lucky enough to have this bird perch for us for quite a while. It had two friends, but they have flown off. Luckily, with bee eaters, we often do get them returning to the same perch, but I'm not sure. Hopefully, it'll stick around a little bit longer for us to admire it. Now, in case anyone watching doesn't know, this is a European bee eater. I was talking about them, I think it was yesterday, around Ukukuyo. And we could hear them calling quite a bit. this bird. Oh, and there it goes. Just give it a second, it might come back. Oh, there we go. And it caught something. So the European bee-eater is really beautiful. Unfortunately, it is slightly in the shade here, so we're not getting the full beauty of its coloration. But this sort of hunting procedure that they're under at the moment, that they're doing, is called hawking. And quite a few birds do it, including drongos, fork-tailed drongos as well. But where the bird will sit on a perch, it will then fly off and catch something and return to that same perch. Well, it does seem that they have now moved off, but I'm sure they have found another perch somewhere to do the same thing from. But how beautiful to see those bee eaters here at Juma. And it is quite windy today, so we were watching them keeping their balance on the edge of the branch, looking as though they might be blown off at any moment. Pierre, absolutely. You say all the bee eater species have wonderful colors, and they do, Pierre. It is wonderful. I absolutely love bee eaters, all the way from the little bee eater to the southern carmine bee eater. Which we also see here. It is a migrant, and it is beautiful, beautiful pink color, and hopefully we can get one of those on screen for you soon. But the little bee eater is sort of a more green and yellow color, and of course little in size, appropriately named. The European I just spoke about now, it has more of the yellow throat with turquoisey, browny, a little bit of green on it as well. Another species of bee eater that we won't see here in the Greater Kruger is called the blue-cheeked bee eater. That's more in sort of the KwaZulu-Natal area, that I've seen it there before. Also quite small, green with these pretty blue cheeks, hence the name. Then another species of bee eater in more of the drier region, also a migrant, is the swallow-tailed bee eater. That is still on my list to see. But here in Juma, another one is the white-fronted bee eater. Beautiful. Quite common around residents, so you can see it all year. And I could go on, there's plenty more, but the bee eaters are beautiful, and all, of course, have that beautiful, quite long black pointed beak that it uses to hawk and catch insects and bees, hence the name. Wally, good to hear from you again. You say the best bee eater in terms of color is Australian. You say it's called the rainbow bee eater. I am going to look that up right now. I am very interested to see what it looks like. Oh wow, Wally, I've just looked it up and so has Nadine. And she says it's so pretty with like 1,000 O's. So it is a beautiful, beautiful bird. And the rainbow, I think, comes in when it opens its wings on its back. And it almost looks like a cross between the blue-cheeked bee eater, the European bee eater, and the little bee eater that we get in South Africa. So if you put all those three together, you've got that blue cheek. I can see there with the yellow throat and green and blue on the back and this beautiful yellow that comes out on the wings. So it is stunning, Wally. Jive Bunny, you say you saw a row of bee eaters on a tree branch in Sri Lanka. All bee eaters are stunning and cute. Well, it is so cute when they all sit like that in a row. I've seen that with little bee eaters before, actually, as well as southern carmines. But the smaller they are, the cuter it is when they all bunch together. And it is a typical sort of behavioral trait of the bee eaters to do that. They all sort of bunch together on a branch, and it makes for some fantastic photos. All right, everyone. Well, it was worth popping over here for those beautiful bee eaters. And now I have learned something new about bee eaters as well from all over the world. How cool is that? But we are going to head back over to Okukuyo. And we have some zebra and gemsbok here as well. Thank you so much to all of you for sending through those comments about the bee eaters, and that was really, really cool. I appreciate you all for participating and chatting about it, and so wonderful to learn about these animals in a broader context.
Out in the wild, life moves fast. To capture the action, you've got to be in the right spot at the wrong time. Now, incredible animal behavior, selected from amazing amateur and professional footage, to reveal the secret lives of animals in motion. This is raw nature, caught in the act.
Catherine, you say that your favorite bee eaters are the southern carmine and swallow-tailed. Very good choices. And Elise, you say your favorite bee eater is the white-fronted bee eater. Thank you so much for sharing and letting me know, both to Catherine and Elise. I don't know if I can choose one. I'm trying to decide. I think probably the most striking in terms of stands out from the rest would be the southern carmine bee eater, just because of that sort of bright pink color is so unique to it. There isn't another bee eater that I'm aware of or that I would be able to see in this area of southern Africa that is anything like that one. But I also really hope that one day I can see a white-throated bee eater. Now that one is very rare to see in South Africa. I know it has been sighted before around Shingwetsi camp within the Kruger, but it's more up north towards the Pafuri area into the northern bordering Zimbabwe and Mozambique. So hopefully one day I'll be able to see that one. That is also a beautiful little bird. So 50, you were asking earlier about the most common antelope here at Okokoyo. I would definitely have to say that would be the springbuck. In terms of what we see around here, most certainly the springbuck. And then also quite a few gemsbok around as well. Those are those bigger antelope we actually were looking at just now within the oryx family. Wally, hello again. You have given a little bit more info about your rainbow bee eater, which is very cool, and you were actually able to see it in person when you were at Tamworth in Australia, and their nest was on the banks of a nearby river. Well, you are very lucky indeed. And should any of our viewers be in Australia, maybe that's something you can find out, whether the rainbow bee eater occurs near you, and you can maybe try and see it. Sandra, you're asking about how long the wet season is in this area. Well, wet season is I suppose, relative to the area which you're talking about. I wouldn't quite call this area having a particular wet season as such. It is very dry all year, but summer now between November and April is the time where there may be rain. And in fact, some of the greenery that you're seeing around there on the ground, even in the shade of the big tree on the left hand side of this waterhole, is from some of the occasional thunderstorms that have come through here. But it's not quite, they aren't sort of torrential downpours and then you get sort of this consistent rain throughout the season at all. It is very, very dry, and every few years or within a very long period, you may see a flood come through. But in general, the rain is extremely minimal in this particular area. Stephen, you would like to know what my personal favorite bird is and why. Oh man. Um Stephen, I am on a journey in deciding exactly which one. But I have decided that my favorite bird call, which already was a big step to be able to just narrow that down on its own. So, in terms of bird call, my favorite is a gorgeous bushshrike. I absolutely love its call. I think that it is so unique and so pretty. And it was one of the very, very, very first bird calls that I was able to identify when I started training up in northern KwaZulu-Natal. And it has stuck with me over through all these years. And so, gorgeous bushshrike, without a doubt, my favorite bird call. And it's also one that I don't actually hear very often. We don't find very many of them in the low veld. It's more sort of a dense, different sort of bushy habitat, almost a little bit more forest-like vegetation. So the ideal is there up in like the northern, the more tropical KZN, which is one of the easternses of South Africa, for those of you who may not know. And in terms of favorite bird in general, I mean, it's very hard to choose. I love birds of prey. I admire the Marshall Eagle a lot. I always get very excited when we're able to spot one. I think that they are extremely majestic and so beautiful. Out when they're soaring, their sort of physical capabilities, their size, all of that is one of my sort of, especially the juvenile, even more than the adult. For those of you who don't know, the Marshall Eagle transitions in feathers, and when it's young, it is almost completely white, which is really, really stunning, I think, personally. So that's definitely up there as one of my favorite birds to spot out on a game drive. Yeah, absolutely. Hard question with 11,000 species. I will say that I probably would only limit myself to the 900 odd that we would get in Southern Africa, just because I don't know, I feel like that would be the right thing to do. But there are plenty of cool birds around the world without a doubt. I mean, South America, bucket list to be able to go and see some of the amazing birds there. I was recently watching Planet Earth with David Attenborough, and their sort of footage of some of the birds in South America is just incredible. So maybe one day I'll be able to see some of them for myself. But we can take the 11,000 and maybe just narrow it down to like the 956 or whatever it is that we see here in South Africa.
Our march to freedom is irreversible. We raise our hands and we say, we will be free! Great mass of South Africans denied their humanity.
Stephen. Thanks so much. Yeah, it is interesting. Like I say, time is amazing, and we get to see more and more birds all the time. I get to learn more about them as well. So answers change, but I've locked down my favorite call, which is fantastic because that would also get me stuck. You say that you also enjoy birds of prey, and that you see crowned eagles a lot and you've grown in love with them. They're so mighty and strong, yet so beautiful. Crowned eagles are stunning. Where I'm from in East London of South Africa, there's a river that runs through the city. And often when we go down and walk along the river and do some birding or go on a barge on a cruise or something like that, even actually above my parents' home there, I've seen them before flying. And crowned eagles nest there on the cliffs in the gorges, and it is beautiful. They are stunning birds as well, and really, really, they have such a beautiful as well when they fly. So I completely agree with you, Stephen. Crowned eagles are amazing. Batisi, you say you are going to make it your mission to go find rainbow bee eaters. Well, if you do, Batiste, please let us know. I'd love to know if you managed to see it for yourself. Ella, you are 12 years old and you want to know which unconventional bird do I like and why. Ooh, I wonder what qualifies as an unconventional bird. Ella, it's a good question. I don't know if you have any ideas. I probably, if I could put them into unconventional, maybe something like a crested guinea fowl. I know they're not super unconventional, but they do have this weird body shape and sort of flap around clumsily. Now, we usually see the helmeted guinea fowls around a lot, but in KwaZulu-Natal, as well as in the northern parts of Kruger, you can see crested guinea fowl, and they have the coolest hairstyle ever. And for me, that's quite unconventional. The tiny little head on this massive body in relatively Ella. And if you Google one or look one up, you'll be able to see that I think it has hair like Elvis Presley. I don't know if you know who Elvis Presley is, Ella, but he was a very famous singer, and had this black sort of curled hair on top of its head. And I refer to the crested guinea fowl as the Elvis Presley bird. I suppose another unconventional bird that I really enjoy is an ostrich. I mean, what's more unconventional than this weirdly put together bird that has this long neck with this tiny head, massive body, lots of feathers, these naked legs and massive feet? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me, but yet they are so fascinating and intriguing. So an ostrich would probably be another one of my picks, Ella. Pia, you say that the shoebill and the secretary bird always amaze you. They are incredible, especially a shoebill. I mean, they have these ginormous beaks or bills, and it is sort of amazing how they use those. And the secretary bird is very, very cool. Lucky enough to see two actually a few weeks ago on the hunt within the grasslands. and they are incredible birds as well. Well, these gemsbok are here for a drink and have all decided to put their bums together while they fan out to drink some water. But how refreshing must that be to just come from the heat? Those white rocks must reflect the heat so much onto these animals, and they must surely be enjoying cooling off here at the waterhole. Rosie, hello to you. You say you can't imagine there being too many predators at Okukuyo. How would they sneak up on prey? There's no place to hide. It's well observed, Rosie. I mean, it really is very open. But as you can see a little bit further back, there's quite a lot more bush and tree available. And so I think perhaps that's where the predators may do their hunting rather than the sort of vast expanse of openness. I'm not sure exactly what's completely to the left or right, or perhaps more behind the lodge where the camera is located. But you're absolutely right in terms of this open expanse. It's something like a leopard, for example, would need to sort of sneak up quite close to its prey. Although there are a few bushes around and that sort of thing, but I'm sure their presence would be noted. But as well, you're also correct in saying that there's not a lot of them around. The predator density within these very dry desert areas is lower because, in relation to the prey, their numbers are also lower. So everything sort of balances out in that way. Well, I hope everyone is finding this as relaxing as I am. Just seeing these beautiful gemsbokken come to the water, their reflections on the sort of glass sheet that is the top of the water. And as we've been watching here at Okukuyo, something's changed in terms of wind direction or strength. It's really settled down. The water was quite disturbed when we first came here this morning. Alright everyone, well, we've had a beautiful time here at Okukuyo so far, but let's head back over to Juma and check out what's happening over there. Hello Ellies. They've come down to cool off on this really, really warm day. just a reminder to everyone that in a few minutes we are going to be joined by Africam. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube currently, the stream is going to end there, and you can carry on watching on either the WildEarth website or the app. Otherwise, if you're in the UK, you can watch on Freeview. Otherwise, in South Africa, on DSTV channel 183. Sandra, you say at least it sounds like there's a breeze. More than just a breeze, there's actually quite a strong wind here at Juma today. But you also want to know if it's a hot wind. Now, I don't know exactly what it's like at Juma, but I'm not away from where they are located here that we're looking at. And it's not quite a berg wind, but because the air is just so warm, the breeze is not cool at all. It is moving air, which is always appreciated. But unfortunately, when the wind blows in, it is still quite hot. But moving air is better than no moving air. So we're still grateful for the moving air for sure, Sandra. All right, well, as these elephants are finishing off their drink, it's just about time to introduce Afrikaans. So everyone, here we go, and I'll chat to you just now.